You have all used Noodletools to create citations and works cited pages, but now you are going to learn how you can even take notes using it. For the 8th grade research paper, you will take your notes using Noodletools digital note cards. For most projects, you have used the note sheets, but we want to make sure that you experience another method of research note-taking. You will be using Noodletools at the high school, so it is beneficial for you to know all of its different features. This screencast is going to walk you through some of them. When you first open a Noodletools project, you are taken to the dashboard, which is on my screen now. And this is a place where you can put your thesis statement, and you can even start your paper from here. It will simply open up a Google Doc. At the bottom is a place where you can keep a to-do list, if you find that helpful. Noodletools provides one nice centralized location for you to keep track of all your research materials digitally. You can create a digital note card 2 ways. One is from the sources screen. You can see that if I go to my sources, there is an area to the right that will enable me to click on New to create a note card. If I create a note card this way, it will automatically link to that particular source. You can also click on note cards at the top, and that will bring you to where all of your note cards will be located. This is called the tabletop. Any note cards you create from the sources screen will end up here on your tabletop as well. It is a good idea to create piles for your note cards. It will help to keep all of your many note cards organized. You can name the piles after your keywords or subtopics. For example, here, my topic is climate change, and my subtopics are fossil fuels, Paris Climate Accord, legislation, impacts. Click on the Manage Pile button, and you can add a pile to an existing pile, or you can create a new pile and enter the name for it here, and then click on Submit. To create a note card, you click on the new green button here to the left, but I'm actually going to show you one that I have created already. So I can click on the pile, click on Expand, and I'm going to go into this note card here on impacts. So for a note card title, you want to use a subtopic or keyword and add a little detail because you may have multiple cards that fall under that overall topic. For example, my topic is climate change and one of my subtopics is impacts. However, I will be taking notes on impacts in the US, impacts in Europe, impacts in Asia, etc. So I'll be sure to label my note cards specifically. I created a pile called impacts and then dropped all of those note cards into that pile. For source, if you have already added the citation to your sources list, it will appear in the drop-down menu. If you did not add the source before you took the note, you can link to it later after you have the citation on your sources page. I would recommend that you don't do that frequently because it might be difficult to remember where you got that information from. URL is where you put the website address that links to that particular article if it came from a database or a website. And for page number, this is not always going to be mandatory. If you're using a book or an ebook, then yes, put the page number. But if you're using a database or a website, you do not have to put the page number. This window to the left here, this box, is where it says direct quotation. You can actually copy and paste parts or in the entire article if you find it helpful to not have to toggle back and forth from an article to your note cards. So in this area here is where you can put the article. You can also link to a YouTube video or an image. You can make the text bold if you need to. You can highlight using the toolbar that's up here as well. This is not where your notes go. This is simply where the information that you're going to be taking your notes from goes. This section here where it says paraphrase or summary, this is where your notes do go. And you want to make sure that you are not putting too many notes on a note card. 1 or 2 notes per card, that is it. If you put too many notes, it'll be very hard later on to decipher where everything is located. And then finally, this box below, it says My Ideas. You can think of this space like the bottom box of the note sheet. It's where you can reflect on your note or jot down some ideas that you want to remember for later. At the very bottom is where you can put tags. And I recommend using them because they can help organize your cards later. Once you create a new tag, Noodletools remembers it, and then you can choose it from the drop-down menu that is located here to the right where it says My Tags. You can create multiple piles, and your cards can be dragged and dropped into any of the piles. You can also tag your cards and color code them at the top here. You can use the cues, which will then let you know that you need more research on that information. Maybe you need help, it's incomplete, it's important, or it's going into your paper. And you can also use your tags from here as well. There are two ways to view your note cards, and the default is tabletop. So it's as if your cards are on a table and you're looking at them from above. And that's the view that we're looking at right now. To edit any of the piles or cards, you can just hover your mouse over it, click on expand, and then you can go into each individual one and you can edit them if needed. And then detail view will give you a more linear format on the left-hand side of the screen. You can click on any part and that card will then appear to the right. And you can edit from here if you need to. You can also see that on the right-hand side, I'm going to go back to tabletop view, this is where you can actually work on an outline. Outlining will take place later in the research process, but I just wanted to point it out to you. And you can also drag and drop individual cards or piles of cards directly into this outline pane. You can also edit manually here as well. Finally, to share your note cards, you would select the print button at the top here, and you would export to Google Docs. And you have some options. You can export all your note cards, just selected note cards that you've clicked on, or note cards from a pile. Keep all of these checked, all these options, note card items to print, keep those checked, and then just click on submit. And then you'll have a doc that you can submit to Google Classroom to have a note card check. And your teacher or librarian can take a look and see your progress. So that's how you use the note cards function of Noodletools, and also some of the other things that can help keep you organized. If you have any questions or need any help, don't hesitate to email a librarian.